Careful, hold your peace. All right. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Oh, they said good morning. I love that. They actually responded. So they're awake. They had their coffee. You can't see in the viewfinder, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a nice amount of people that will learn about what we do. And I'm glad that Mike is here because some people might not have heard your elevator nugget. Oh my God.
Educational nugget.
Educational nugget. What did I say?
Elevator nugget.
Elevator nugget. And then we have another guest and we have another spot. So we feel like we're a TV talk show in this
Come on.
living room area. It's fancy. We don't even have to order furniture. We just take over the local assisted living community in Delray Beach called Bellamar. I'm glad you guys all made it. Suzanne, there's a check-in QR code now over there, but take your phone out and scan this in front of us so we can see that it works on your phone.
Oh boy, no. See what happens when you're the last one to show up?
Yeah.
You have to
No pressure on me either. So this is actually kind of on the beta test across North America, including Canada.
All right.
But you take your phone out. It even has nice little instructions, Bruce and Sherry, for people to follow. That says what to do.
It's nice to be an ambassador.
Appointed investor.
Trying to take this.
And you click on the yellow thing, maybe if it's an iPhone.
Both of us are us. I think I'm on yet. No, I haven't come on yet.
And we'll get there maybe, or maybe it's the lighting. We'll try this angle. Sometimes you take a picture on the right side.
There you go.
It was a lighting.
And then what happens when you go to it? Does it sit there and wait
It
until?
says sign into a lineup.
Okay, that's what happened with Sarah and mine's also.
Oh,
So-
but I'm not logged in on my phone.
Oh, okay, so maybe that
So
might
you
be
have to
also.
log in order to check.
So some of us might be already logged on.
That's me.
You could be logged on the web app on your Safari or browser on your phone, or you could be logged on the app. Which
I was logged on the app.
okay, so those people that didn't know, there is a free app for Alignable. Just download the purple.
And you keep sending.
We'll have this very convenient check-in feature for our next event that you could check in when we're at our breakfast meetings, etc. But welcome everybody. Let's see, today's, where's my phone? Oh, my phone's over there.
It's occupied.
So when you're going to use your phone as a video device, make sure your notes are not in the text that you texted yourself that you were going to follow today. So luckily, hopefully I can come up with what my notes were. And we actually moved the third part of our meeting or the second part of our meeting of 3 parts to the beginning because sometimes we get stuck in traffic and I just don't want anybody to miss the introductions where you're doing your educational nugget and someone could miss. You've been to those meetings where they have the introduction at the beginning and that 5 people show up. They get to do their educational nugget, and then they miss 5 people. How fair is that?
Right.
So I moved the 10 minutes to the beginning of the meeting so that they won't miss it. I'm not pointing to you, Suzanne. And not only that, but they won't miss the 10-minute the 10-minute speech of the day, which could be you or you or you. We invite you to do a 10-minute presentation after coming 2 more times after today. So you automatically have 1 time locked in, and you also get, as another perk, we get your business card, your email, and you'll be on our weekly reminder email, and I'll put the link to the beginning 10 minutes in that email so you can see what we talked about for the first 10 minutes, which I had a topic and still have a topic planned for today. So this should be a very exciting 1-hour meeting, and you could be the judge that we're going to knock the socks off of BNI, the TIP, Chamber of Commerce, leads groups, networking, not like for business. Even that one is because they're included with us. They're great business partners like Networking for Business. The name says all itself. So for today's 10-minute speech or presentation, I have a couple of thoughts for you to think about, which is when you guys do one-to-ones, or even before I even say that, how effective is a networking meeting that only has all of us doing educational nuggets for 1 to 2 minutes each? And of course, if we had 100 people here, we'd only be able to talk for 20 seconds, and you really get to see the pig in action. I won't use up his time to spare the meeting, but in 1 hour, if we could be so much more productive than all those other places, because we'll have introductions, we'll have a 10-minute speaker, which could be you in the next 2 times, us. Jerry went last time and told us a great talk on scams and smishing. If you don't know what smishing is, it's scams and text messages. I didn't know that, and she talked to us about a dirty dozen that the IRS warns people about. And I have to be abreast of that in the financial industry. And see, this is my perfect example. Arnie, thank you for coming. There's a rock over there. But I know you're a very busy businessman, and you haven't missed not one introduction because I secretly planned the 10-minute presentation in the beginning.
Is that right?
And we're talking about how, without doing one-to-ones, and we just had educational nuggets for 1 to 2 minutes, and then we came, and we all knew each other, and we keep coming back every week. And 15 weeks later, we just heard only introductions, a 10-minute speech, and you come back and you never did a one-to-one. How effective really is a networking group without that? It's like you're just coming to a movie or a Netflix, and you might remember everybody's one-to-one, but probably highly unlikely. So the one-to-one, do you agree? I know Arnie's shaking his head like a duck, so amazing, like he's so hungry on the field.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And so pretty important. So I wanted to emphasize the one-to-one as our topic of the day here. And the things that I put in my notes and my text was one question or 2 questions that I wanted to kind of go around for 10 seconds and think about these 2 questions to start off the one-to-one that I would suggest doing when you're doing a one-to-one each week. One question would be, what makes you, yes, Martha or Patrick or Arnie, qualified to do what you do?
Oh, you stole that from me.
Really? You just thought of that today?
No.
No,
That's the question I've been asking.
You have done that?
Yes.
So maybe it's through osmosis. It's stuck in there.
But
because
it's true.
I typed that right in my text, and I'm like, so, and that would play so neatly in the acronym FORM. That's family, occupation, recreation, money, as an automatic way to remind yourself when you're doing a one-to-one for an hour or 30 minutes or so in between meetings outside of our meeting to get to know somebody instead of saying, what do you do? So how many people you got in an elevator and the first thing someone says to you is, what do you do? And you're like, I don't know you, I don't know me, blah, blah, but okay, you do it because you're in business. Maybe you give them a card, maybe you talk about whatever your elevator nugget is. Almost. So, how qualified are you to do what you do? Now, don't answer it. Another question that I put down was, how important is family to you for the F? Families today, and I would extend it a little bit, say families today are so spread apart across North America. It seems most families are spread apart. Maybe yours is or isn't. Are they spread across the country or spread across 6 cities within Florida? And do you get a chance with your busy work schedule to see your family every week? And just shut up and listen. And the first person to talk loses. I'm probably sure you heard that in some sales somewhere.
Yeah.
So just with those 2 questions alone is, I hope, a little bit of inspiration. The next thing, recreation, family, occupation, recreation, money. If you see a magazine at a coffee shop and it talks about running, maybe that would be a memory jogger for you to talk about the time that you had to run for the bus, or maybe you ran a marathon, or maybe you noticed somebody had, look at the shoes that these guys on. Those look like you could maybe finish a half marathon in those, or maybe you could just get to the mailbox.
I thought you were pointing at me, I'm like, wow, that's pretty energetic.
Yeah.
No, it was yours, shoes.
Those are probably mailbox
Very
shoes, right?
energetic, very energetic.
You use those shoes to get the check that Arnie sent you with those shoes, but use those shoes to. So you can
No,
see
no,
how
Arnie-
you can
Arnie
bridge
sent
the conversation in different ways to
Yes,
get
sir.
to know people without saying what you do. So with the family, occupation, recreation, money, the O in occupation, do not do what do you do unless you're ready for a pitch to come right back in your face. And if you don't mind that, fine. Put on your helmet and go, because they say that sales is a contact sport.
So I have a question. May I ask it?
Students have a question. Yes.
All right, so could you phrase the question
Mhm.
around occupation? What makes people who do what you do, or how do you determine among the people who do what you do, who's really qualified to do it? So now you're not talking about what you do, you're asking them, without saying, what do you do? How do you determine if the person you want to work with is qualified? Which is how you started this conversation.
Correct. You can go in any direction you want to go in. We're just giving each other the best ideas to not really get into talking about that last M. Sometimes people refer to that as money. I'd like you to focus on using that M as motivation. What motivates you to jump out of bed every day? What motivates you to do what you do every day? I mean, certainly Patrick wants to save so much taxes for people. It's not even funny after the 15 weeks that we've heard him talk. So you should hear what he does, but you'll also want to know why he came in his jogging outfit today, and he's out of breath, and he's got something amazing he wants to tell us about today. But you can see how getting a little bit personal, maybe not too much on the first time, will give us ideas on how important form is if you need ideas on how to guide the conversation for an hour. Marty, you've been around the block a little bit. Have you done? I'm not.
Don't
Okay.
tell his wife.
I'm pointing you. I won't tell your wife. I'll show her the video that we're making right now. So maybe we'll have to have her as a guest, but maybe I won't get you going talking. I'll save it for your information. So I wanted to start off today's meeting, in addition to that, by saying that this should be our textbook. If I was charging you all today $1,000 like B&I does, I would include this book in your membership package. I still have this book in your membership package. If I had the PDF, I'd tell you to go download it. But I will tell you to go get another copy at wherever you want to buy it. Thrift store, thriftbooks.com. You probably could buy this for 35 cents, and that's such a deal. If you got the material in here for 35 cents and it tells you How to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, there's one phrase that one business owner told me in this book, maybe 15 or so or more years ago. And he said, if you could develop an attitude where nobody shakes your tree, that was the secret to business and how he built his business. And that guy was a multimillionaire. And he said, develop an attitude where nothing or nobody could shake your tree. And it could go in 10 different directions when young Paul heard that. But I relate that to emotion and attitude. You wake up, and Zig Ziglar tells this story about kick the cat, I think he called it. And I won't tell that story because I probably could do it like a long joke, like the White Mouth Frog joke. People love that. He loves jokes, by the way, so he probably has one for us.
He is a joke.
But
It's a good joke.
I just said and but, and I'm a Toastmaster. Okay.
Shame.
I'll recover.
Shame on you.
And there's no witnesses. Nobody heard me say I'm a but. Okay, I did it again. So, I just did so also. At least I'm aware of it. So, this book here, I did it again. Develop an attitude where nothing or nobody can shake your tree. Sometimes I say, did you read this book yet? Did you read like one page, one chapter? There's only 13 chapters.
I'm gonna say something. I read that book 50 years ago when I was in Korea.
In Korea.
In Korea, when I was reading that book, Colonel walked in where I had an office in the reporter's room. I was a photojournalist. He saw that book and he went nuts. I had to let him borrow that book. He walked in on me. I was sitting in on my bed. He saw that.
That must have helped your career big time, because if you could get your superior officer to read this book.
Full colonel at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very interesting because I got that book from a sergeant that was finished reading it. And it was, to me, it was quite interesting to read. And I wasn't even in business at that time. I was really young.
Just to clarify the story, Marty was in a trench at the time he was reading the book, and the sergeant was screaming, "Put the damn book down and start shooting." He was so engrossed in the book.
Except he was a photojournalist, he wouldn't be in the trenches.
Photojournalist.
He was outside the trench getting
He
shot.
wasn't in the trenches.
I was in
Okay.
the trench.
Oh, you were?
So now we're gonna get into the trenches, and
Good
within
stuff.
like a minute or two, I'm not religious with, well, maybe I could. I have a second hand on this watch. Is we'll start with Marty, and we're gonna have a contest to see who has the most impactful 1 minute elevator nugget. So you probably already prepared. I know everybody prepared their elevator nugget, and there'll be a prize. And I'm not gonna go around and put my hand over your head like I did last time. And whoever has the loudest clap is gonna win, because everybody had the loudest clap, and I had to award everybody an Italian dinner, which three people took it up and got a free Italian dinner.
And take home.
And take home too, and I didn't have to pay for it. Verizon Small Business, they give out $1 million in grants, and they had this whole program, and they had a speaker for SEO that came from Miami, a speaker from 2 other outlets, and they gave some great data analytical stuff. And Alignable didn't organize it, but they, I guess, participated in the events across the country. So I'm glad that they had us do it. There was about 10 tables of people in the area, so it enabled me to maybe find some more potential people for the Alignable Palm Beaches group.
It was very useful.
And that note, let's start with our, I tell what the prize. Oh, one more thing so you can think about the prize while you guys are doing your 1 minute commercials. You remember that little guy on Fantasy Island?
Be playing.
The plane. So, and he's a little
Tattoo.
short guy. So
Tattoo.
think of that little guy looking up at not the plane, but he says now, the prize. Well, Mr. Rock. Okay, well, Tattoo. These people first have to do their 1 minute commercial, 1 minute educational
That's the
nugget.
second time he did that.
I'm gonna be in the doghouse. I am in the doghouse. I live in Lucky's house, by the way, and Arnie's always in the doghouse too. So you have, your prize. It'll be a choice of one of 3 books, which you could choose. One of the books is all about Medicare, which you may not need, but it's a book that Sarah wrote. Another book is Wisdom for Women, and it's the title of the book, but you can't spell women without men, so they need us. And there's some great information about wisdom and finances in there. And the other book is a book I wrote about headshots and the importance for small business owners to put their best face forward. Some of you know I had a photography business before I did my business that I currently have now, and this isn't the business. This is just my love for networking and bringing small business together. I know Martha saw my big 25-foot bus at one time that was yellow, looked like a school bus without 25 seats in it. So if you know anybody that wants to build a mobile studio, I can give them all kinds of tips if they're interested in going mobile. So those 3 books, you'll be a choice of that. And if you know someone that needs Medicare help and they're turning 65 soon, that book will be pretty helpful. It's nice big font, almost as big as this. No, just kidding. Otherwise, it'd be 900 pages. So Marty, ready to win the prize. The prize, you have 1 minute on the clock, otherwise we prevent you from hogging the time by building your wealth. At 1 minute, you'll hear this. You'll have double pig. Okay.
Stereo.
So no pressure, action.
What's the question?
The question is, you do your educational nugget. You dazzle us with your prepared. I know you prepared a 1-minute presentation today. So go ahead.
Needless to say, everyone here knows that I do reverse mortgages. And based upon that, it's really my second career. My first career was in the shopping center field. And I got into doing reverse mortgages based on introduction into the mortgage market. And I wanted to specialize in an area that I can really enjoy and get some fulfillment out of. Based upon the reverse mortgage, very few people know about it. It was designed 40 years ago to help the seniors live a better. What are you timing me on this thing?
Of course. You got 1 minute.
1 minute.
To win the prize. You got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
It was created 40 years ago, basically because the government realized that the seniors needed a better quality of life, and Social Security and a meager pension would not help them. In today's world, in the communities that we all live in over 55 community, or in the homes that we live in, we all need new roofs at the end of 23 or 24 years. For a senior,
You can have 10 seconds to wrap up.
for a senior to walk into the bank and borrow $35,000 on one Social Security because one of the partners had passed away, it's impossible. They can be equity in the home, to stay in the home the rest of their life, have home care, redo their house, fix it up so that they can be more comfortable.
Did I stop you there? I like the ending. It's wasn't necessarily your plan, Danny, but at least you had some important tidbits about reverse mortgages and how you're Superman in your field. We're going to go to Patrick, and you're going to try to win. You're going to try. I got my phone. I got a second answer. So, Patrick, surprise us, and action.
Okay, you all know me, Pat Noonan with Danny Business Solutions. I've been in the consulting business for about 30 years. And as a result of that, I said to myself, after working with Fortune 500 companies, when I look around, the small to mid-sized businesses really need what we deliver, but they can't afford it. So Advantage Business Consulting is a business consulting firm as well as a tax advisory service for specialized tax incentives. And what we do is we work with businesses initially to help them improve the operational side of the house. That's where the consulting side of our business comes from. And then we have gotten into the area of specialized tax incentive advisory and consulting services. Currently today, the federal government has put $2.3 trillion out there for businesses of all sizes in the way of specialized tax incentives. And when I speak with businesses today, only a very few have ever, number one, heard of them and were taken advantage of them. And this goes for all types of businesses. Advantage Business Solutions, we work with small to mid-sized businesses, helping them improve their operational side of the house as well as improving their cash flow.
And that was a good way to wrap up. Within 10 to 15 seconds, it took him to wind down from being excited. Another tip I'll give you is that a lot of times you have to have way too much information in a 1-minute speech. And sometimes part of your speech to be more effective is to insert a pause or a pregnant pause in there. So if in 1 minute you include a pause, in between all that, there's only enough time for just a couple of nuggets, your name and your company, and a hook, and you're done for this portion of the meeting. So the prize, Arnie, action.
Questions? How many of you are making the amount of sales you want to make this year? Or the amount of profits this year?
No, down this way.
Okay, if not, how many are?
Obviously, none of us.
Yeah, and if not, if you keep doing the same thing every day, over and over again, marketing wise, you're gonna get the same results.
That's insanity.
I can give you a new solution with my new company called Gold Peak Strategies. I'll have business cards probably in another week or so. And you've got to see what I'm doing.
I like
Also, Sherry, I have a question for you. Can you help someone do a LLC?
Of course.
Okay, I gotta leave for you. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, within 10 minutes to spare. We got just
10
10
minutes?
seconds.
10 seconds. 10 seconds to spare. I'm just seeing if you're awake.
He's having a good
Okay.
day.
And now that we're going, Mike, our guest, who's immersed into our culture, is going to dazzle us. Surprise. 1 minute on the clock for you.
Morning. Mike Witchounds with Enviro Systems, kind of a unique company. We specialize in protecting residential communities, but we do different types of technology we put in the community itself. One of the ones we're best known for is called the virtual gate guard system, something we developed about 16, 17 years ago. We put those in the community. We have our licensed guards over in Sarasota. We connect them with high-speed internet, and the results are absolutely amazing. I'm always looking to meet property managers, board members, and residents of communities that have pools, gates, and guards. Your community is your home. Let us help you make it a safe one. Thank you. Mike with Enviro.
And of course, he's well trained because Bruce has been knocking him to do 45
For years.
seconds for years. So he's got his 45 seconds. So he should be your lesson for you as well. Could be in the runner-up for our winner today. No pressure, Bruce. So the prize, action.
If I could show you a way to create an automatic recurring income stream while improving your health, would you be open to hearing more? So I'm going to ask you to reach out to me so that we can explore whether this might be a good fit for you to achieve your health and income goals.
And he did his in about 15 seconds. So there should be an award for the shortest one with the most valuable information.
Do I get the leftover time?
Yes, he's building his time.
Now, fortunately, we're going to give it to somebody else as part of the meeting.
That's
That
okay.
I have planned for you guys. But Sherry, just think of the prize and a little tattoo. He's saying the prize, not the plane. Action.
Do you know how to determine whether or not the person who's doing your taxes is qualified to do your taxes? Considering what I talked about last week from the Dirty Dozen and the ghost preparers, it's more important than ever to ask a lot of questions, to know what makes them qualified, to make sure, yeah, if you say you're going to sign my return, of course they're going to say yes. But as you start to question them about what makes them qualified to do the return, you're going to get, if they are a ghost preparer, you're going to get this uneasy feeling. The hair's going to come up on the back of your neck. And you know when they say if it itches, scratch, means ask more questions. I'm the tax superhero with business services for you. I'm Sherry White. We are a full service tax preparation, planning, and resolution service. And we also help our clients with bookkeeping and payroll. I talk to the IRS.
So you don't have
to.
And when you can finish somebody's hook, it means that you're paying attention and it's very effective. So
How long?
Good. You were right at 1 minute, and we didn't have to go for the 2 hogs in one
I've been
shot.
practicing.
Practice. So that's another whole topic in itself. Practice.
Yes.
Martha, the prize. Little tattoo is talking to you. Action.
Good morning, I'm Martha Ruiz. You haven't seen me lately, but I'm back.
I saw you on all your pictures.
We
Thank
missed
you
you.
so much. Thank you. What I do is I try to fill in all the gaps for those small companies who are starting up, who are still small enough to not have an IT department. I do deal with your computer when it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I try to help you up to set up a plan on what you have so that you can use the best out of your computer, whatever equipment you have in your company or setup or whatever it is, so that you can make the best out of it. My plan is to help you ease yourself on computers, on the computer side, so that you don't have to worry about that. And you can do the best that you need to do. So let me worry about your computers while you knock down your work.
Okay. I think you're on time, but I looked up. I was so involved in listening to your educational nuggets. I might have been 5 minutes, 5 seconds off.
I'm so happy that she's back.
Exactly.
There you go, there you
And
go.
that
Thank
too,
you,
so
thank
welcome
you,
back.
thank you, thank
And
you.
then we go to Suzanne, surprise us.
Good morning, everybody. Glad to be back as well. As you all know, I am Suzanne. I'm with TalkDocumentation.com. I help your medical providers make more money. So what I do is I help negotiate or renegotiate their contracts with insurance payers. Plus, if the payer audits them, like the IRS audits you, an insurance company also audits your providers. And so I help them get them through those audits, and have a provider recently who received an audit, and they sent in their documentation, and that payer, that insurance company, says, great, you owe us this much money. And so what we're in the middle of is negotiating that, which many providers don't realize. You can negotiate that rate that they think that you owe them. So if you want to be on top of your revenue game, then you want to call TalkDocumentation.com.
And I didn't get to use the hog there because she stopped 3 seconds before I was gonna squeeze the hog to prevent her from hogging the time by building our wells.
Practice.
That's an example of how you could squeeze 900 words into a 1 minute educational nugget.
And I like your help.
We wanted to get so much value, and we were all with you too. Sometimes somebody could talk so fast and all these words in and not hear where they said they put too many words in, but you did that pretty well. Huh? So, Sarah, action.
Good morning, everybody. I am Sarah Finkelstein with Signature Advisory Group and YourMedicareLady.com. What I do is I help Americans devise strategies to protect their retirement money, their retirement accounts, from the devastating costs of long-term care, from losing money in the market, and also from longevity risks, from running out of money before running out of life. So I help those individuals plan ahead. Benjamin Franklin said, people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. Do you have a plan to protect your retirement account from those areas? Sarah Finkelstein, Signature Advisory Group.
Another show off that's within 15 seconds of her 1 minute. So who else?
By
Someone
the way,
else
I
did
met
it.
Franklin.
Someone else did it in 45 seconds. Oh, maybe it was Patrick or
It wasn't Patrick.
Suzanne. I like Suzanne.
I did about 15 seconds or so.
15 seconds. You did it for a minute. Someone else did 45 seconds. Mike. I thought it was Mike. Okay. Excellent. So good examples. We're thinking, okay, and we have one more. Oh, myself. So I'll start the clock.
Best for last.
I'm at the quarter of mark. I'll stop at the quarter of mark. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Finkelstein with Primerica, and that's what pigs sound like. You notice that? Sounds empty, doesn't it? If your piggy bank is getting a little empty, perhaps I could help, because it's no joke when your portfolio is broke, but that's entirely not what I was going to talk about, because the pig distracted me, and I went off on a completely interesting idea, because realizing that the pig is our symbol to keep people from hogging the time, but it's also a piggy bank. And everybody here can relate to a piggy bank. But did you know that I was looking at this website called usdebtclock.org. And if you've never heard of it, usdebtclock.org, it has the stats of like everything. It's your household financial statement, for the entire country. And it showed that the average debt for credit card debt was like $75,000 per person in the United States. And I remember my last presentation at our office, the stats were like 65,000. And if you don't have 65,000 or 75,000 in debt, your next door neighbor does. And if your next door neighbor doesn't have it, then the guy across the street has triple what you would have had. So there's definitely a big problem with consumer debt with credit cards. And I know that they're kind of a necessary evil for people to bridge the gap if they're in business or lines of credit or things like that. They're trying to expand, sometimes over, but we can get in trouble with credit cards. We also have strategies for reducing debt as well, an interesting debt stacking program. So if you know anybody that wants to reduce their debt faster and not have to keep it for 24 years, but maybe 9 years, there's a little program that we have. And that's the solution is a financial needs analysis. I'm Paul, don't consider your financial freedom dead until I call you hers. And I went over by a couple seconds, so I guess I can't win the prize, but at least we're all thinking about the prize and we all got a chance to educate each other. And I actually am going to award today's prize, since you guys, have to be motivated to keep your educational nuggets short and sweet, by aiming for a prize. Because we know that incentive is something that we're naturally as humans for goals. It's when you're shooting for something, it makes you more alive. So your prize today, Mike, I'm going to award you, not just because you're a guest, but you stopped right on time.
It pays to be the rookie.
I thought that your rookie elevator nugget speech was more than just a rookie. We can tell you've been around the block, or you just ordered those shirts last night. So you could choose from Sarah's Medicare book, which you could pick up at easybuttonformedicare.com, or you could pick up her book at sarahsebook.com. Well, nobody else heard that, but just for Mike.
He's also the first sales guy that we've ever had, or I've ever heard of, that sells a virtual guard service.
Mm-hmm.
Which we have, not the guard service, but the service that protects the pool area.
Yeah.
And nobody has any complaints. And they changed the access when we went over to that system. And Bruce loves the access, right?
Yeah.
It makes
If
it
you
very
leave the
easy.
gate, if you don't shut the gate behind you when you go into the pool area, Mike actually comes on and he starts screaming and cursing at you. Shut the damn gate.
Joke? Give him a joke to add to his service.
Oh, you want a joke?
That's
No.
what
No.
joke of the day.
No.
joke
At the end of the meeting, save that
I know
thought.
about that.
But does your system? We went to a community down here in Atlantic that I think it was called Lexington.
Lexington Club.
And
Or Lexington, yeah, Lexington Club.
that system that they had there, the owner of one of the places said that it memorized your license plate, so I didn't have to tell them all my information. Maybe you did that, community, or maybe
It does.
you have
I sold that.
a
Yeah.
service like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So that was nice that I don't have a man at that one,
Right.
but the system
Oh, man.
seemed to be very efficient. I was like, wow, because it memorized the license plate. It still had a person come on of the other end as well. So very interesting. But we're like the online version on Saturdays. What I love about how we should really be so much better than BNI and R than NPI, leads groups, etc. Because we just did everything that all those other groups ask. But to combine, like the online group, they give you 3 smart connects where you can meet with somebody one-to-one or 3 people, depending on how it divvies you up online, like breakout rooms on Zoom. All within an hour. So with the remaining little bit of time, I want to do a little sample of remember what we talked about with a couple of questions to do form, and try to practice with the family one or the occupation one, what qualifies you to do what you do, or the last one, not necessarily money, but motivation. You have a question before I let you go?
Yeah. Do we have time for me to interject something about the introductions?
Yeah, go ahead, quick.
Okay. I've been taking a lot of webinars and classes on this, and I think what we need to do, and then Paul mentioned some of the things about this, is think in terms of presenting when you have like a 30 or even a maximum 60-second time frame. Imagine that you're in that elevator, and what are you going to say to that person to catch their attention enough so that they'll want to meet with you again? If you start giving them features, who I am, what my education background is, all of that stuff is part of a presentation. If you start with that, it's going to go right out of their heads. Just keep saying to yourself when you design your introduction, what's in it for them? Okay? Because if you're not zooming in quickly and briefly on what's in it for them, they're going to tune you out. and by the time you get out of that elevator, they're going to forget about you altogether. So that's and that can be done in 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Even if you have to put on your cape and quickly say to someone like Bruce, in elevator XYZ PDQ.
Yeah, just yeah.
Got
Right.
your attention?
And I've revised my introduction many times over the last couple of years, and I kept shortening it down because I kept realizing that I had a lot of extraneous stuff in there that is really not important to somebody who I'm just giving them an quick introduction on. So I would get rid of all the fluff and just get right to the point.
Now I'm going to put that into practice for 1 minute. I can't hit a button and go into breakout rooms because we're all in person. But what I can do, very simple, with 2 samples, with just 1 minute each, I'm going to time 1 minute. I want you to look to the person on your right.
Yes, except
Except
how's
for
that
the
gonna
fact,
work?
I know
Yeah,
how
right, so
it's
everybody's
because everybody's looking to the right. So
We're going to see the back of a lot of
Scratch
heads.
that plan. So I'll have to direct that a little bit better. Okay. Arnie, look at Mike. Marty, look at Patrick.
You want us to,
No, I don't. You need to
Do
separate.
you switch places with
Yeah, there we
Bruce? Bruce, switch places.
That way we
And
can
you
just
stay
turn
where you're
around.
seated.
right, this way you and I
You
can.
sit over there.
Touch my Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay, I
And
know
Martha,
that one, don't worry.
you look at
Sherry,
Sherry, thank you.
That's Suzanne,
And
Sherry.
Suzanne, look at Bruce.
You had to
And
separate.
of course, I.
No,
the
you
same
had to
thing.
separate you.
But it's fine. I'm sure I can find something in 25 years I've never heard about my wife before. And maybe she'll remind me, maybe she'll give me my to-do list items for the day.
Just write down all the guys' names.
Right, exactly. So now look at the person that you got assigned to, and you have 1 minute to pick FORM. Pick one of them and go.
oh, mine is easy, I'm gonna pick family, we
Here's
just came back from
Okay.
vacation. So how was it?
Oh, it's all so
Everything.
You have to
Oh, wow. I want to be lucky when his So how old is he? Wow, so it's been that. Wow, so the family would have remembered meeting him.
right,
Oh.
but maybe.
And so they must have been like shocked.
Well, he always wanted to go to rock my son
He's eager like a girl. So that's good.
very great.
Okay, time's up. Good job. You just did 1 minute of just one letter of the FORM. It wasn't meant for you to do a whole one-on-one. I wanted you guys to just do a taste of a one-on-one. I know you're just really like each other. That's great. They hit it off well on the first shot, but usually people don't end up in marriage on a one-to-one off of the first minute. Usually it takes a
By the
couple.
way, we have to sit next to each other because we're such models with our hair.
Yeah.
Right,
You know, there's more hair done at this end of the
You
room.
didn't have to say that.
don't worry.
I had encouraged anybody that runs a meeting like this to come to Toastmasters so you can get used to running a meeting as an MC, especially with uncooperative
You don't
people.
have to have it.
I got it in the car.
So we're gonna have to get the gavel out. There's one disadvantage for doing the one-to-ones in person is because they could stop them because there's a countdown timer and then it's done.
Right.
So we have time for 4 more, but I'm not doing 4 more because it'll be hard to get you guys all to stop. So I know you're still excited about doing the one-to-ones, but at least that'll inspire you to actually do a one-to-one that's longer than a minute. Hopefully we're meeting with everybody here and it's not like a bad date where you have your friend call you up and say, oh no, I don't want to meet with them. I have to get out of here. Well, I never did that, but maybe you got anyway. So let's see. Let's try have Arnie get up and talk to Sherry, Bruce get up and talk to Patrick, Mike get up and talk to Marty, Martha talk to me, and Suzanne
All right, wait a
talk to
minute,
Sarah.
Now,
So this is a
Arnie gets up and
one-on-one?
comes here.
Just a 1 minute 101. You stay put. Whoever I mention the name come to
Yeah,
the
but I have a
person.
feeling that your combination isn't gonna,
It is.
all right, let's find out.
Okay, so everybody go to the person
Where are
I
you
said,
supposed to go?
Here we go. You want me to sing who?
and one of you can stand, one of you can
Okay,
sit.
so-
You both don't have to sit, but if you're moving the chairs, you're fine. Because you're tired, your knees hurt, because this kind of activity is. Okay, action. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zoom is okay
This is like doing this smart guy. Break that.
That's easy enough, and then at the same time. Alright, so now you have to decide, is it going to be a partnership? Yeah, just because it's an LLC, it could be a partnership or it could be an S corp.
No.
But we also have to form the LLC, no, to file the beneficial ownership, yes. Yeah, like if you need a copy of your driver's license. Well, I could set up an access for him. Yeah, but you don't want it to give it to you via email. Because it's not secure. Well, maybe you don't, but maybe he does. Think about it. If Chris emails us to driver's license, has date of birth, has address on it, which is 2/3 of the information that somebody needs to steal an identity. I don't want to give it to them. I don't assume they do, because I don't want to give it to them. I actually need a copy of it because I have to upload a copy. I can set up, if you give me an email address, I can set up a secure portal for him that he can upload it to. So that it doesn't, because I'm also going to need, for that, I'm going to need the social security. So what I would do, you've got his social. Okay, so what I would do is create the portal and everything I need, I just ask him, if you already have the social, that's one of the two things that we needed.
Right.
So, and then we format it in India and then
Okay, that makes it easy for me.
and then we got to do the state.
Which is all.
Do what state? You're filing on Sundays. And once we file on Sundays, that's the state. Then we go to the IRS to get an EIN. And that lets the IRS know that he's now formed this partnership. So yeah.
When I got my primary insurance,
That was a whole different ball.
then I went to the state.
Yeah. No, because you were supposed to form a corporation first with some, right. The problem is they tell you is because if you don't form your corporation first and the name you go through all the paperwork with for the 501c3, it turns out to be taken in the state you want to register, then if you already have your EIN, that's a problem. So if you register with the state first, then we know we have a good name. And we can get it.
And then I can go open a bank
Once
account.
you have
How long does that take?
couple of days. It takes about 3 days for them to approve the registration. So 3-4 days. We're at Wednesday. All right, well, do the best we can. Set you up. Okay, this is what. Yeah, you can definitely have your best.
If I start a LLC without him,
Yes. How much later would you want to be in?
I want to thank you for coming today. I'm going to.
Okay, so here's the problem with doing this.
The meeting is over.
We can do it.
Everybody go past the
But
I was thinking about just leaving
Sundays to set up the LLC, and then if you could add him next week, that day.
My last thought was really, and everybody picked it up.
Are you doing an LLC? It's
With the same person, pick somebody,
$137.
next
And
Wednesday.
then they usually charge you $55 every time you want to make a change.
So lock out days.
So, yeah.
And lock out your
We'll get his part, I gotta get his.
Yeah, well, I don't need the driver's license for Sundays. I need the driver's license for the beneficial ownership, fencing, and wait 90 days for that.
Oh, okay.
So don't worry about it. If you give me
I got it so through.
all right, so when we're done, which I will need for the EIN. So when we're, and I'm gonna need his signature. No, I don't. Because I do this, the way I do this is you can sign that says that it's okay for me to request the EIN.
Oh, to lock
And
your
then,
out.
and that'll are you going to be the managing partner?
There's some coffee and data scissors here, by the way, if you didn't get one.
All right, is our
They did come.
Is
The
it
time was long up.
Oh,
This is the last exercise
we
for
had a
the,
good
for the
conversation.
Doing
morning.
business.
And we're all finished within an hour. Same thing I do on Saturday. So if you go to networking meetings that are longer than an hour, I challenge you to tell me that they're more effective than this. I doubt it.
we have 5 minutes to spare. We can do 20-second takeaways.
And
Oh, yeah, actually, for the last thought, I'm glad you said that, Sherry. Sherry.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right, Sherry. So I'm still video recording and facing me. I didn't want to off the screen to turn it off. But for the record, get less than 10 seconds. You can't do anything unless you have one mouth and 2 ears. Is the most effective listening. I know, Arnie, I'm confusing you. Some people have 2 mouths and 1 ear. Some people have 2 ears and
You're a
1 mouth.
mess. You're an absolute mess today.
Yeah.
You
So
don't have a necktie.
give us 10 seconds what you liked about the meeting, what you hated about the meeting. I'll even, just to make it fair and balanced, sure, why not? But give me some feedback or give somebody feedback.
I love the energy of this meeting. That's number one.
That's why I drive all the way down here.
Yeah, that's number one. And I want to thank Mike for finally making it to join us.
Yeah, very good.
Hey, I was only invited as of yesterday.
Oh, I thought you were invited a long time ago.
I think so. I think this character here invited me like 6 months ago, and I just didn't do anything about it. But he invited me as recently as yesterday, and I couldn't pass up. And I wanted to add my snippet, and that is,
Yeah, please.
I love the fact that you had this exercise at the end or whatever. It's not every meeting has anything like that.
No.
And like you said, a lot of times you just walk out with a whole list of people that you've met, and you're going to forget the minute you walk out the door.
Right.
This exercise helped a lot. You know, and I got to meet a photojournalist that worked that went to Vietnam.
Yes.
And on top
Which
of
is
that,
interesting.
Yeah.
the purpose for the QR code for all check-ins for Alignable events that they rolled out, Arnie, a QR code that people could check in. So it's an unmanned check-in with a QR code. It pops up a window that says you're checked into the event that I scheduled, an in-person event. When you check in, it'll show you who's at the meeting.
Ah.
So you'll see Marty, you could connect to him on Alignable, further your dialogue, and you could also, of course, get his business card, which we all leave our business cards there. After you come once, give us like 5 cards, and I'll put 5 there, and whoever the leftovers, we could keep a copy. Plus, if you have your email address on your card,
Yep.
I'll add you to our Google Sheet, which will be the email list that I send out.
Great.
If anybody's looking for an email program that's cheap and effective, like Constant Contact or all the rest, I figured out a system that only costs $48 for the entire year. It used to be $24, but now it's $48. But it's for the whole year, not per month. And it's using a Google Sheet, sending out an email using Gmail templates. And I didn't even know that you can make a template email in Gmail, stays in draft, and you can personalize, thanks to Sherry, the subject line, and put the person's name in the subject line so that you guys remember to open it, that it came from someone you know, and then it's addressed to you, your name, and then whatever, a link from our 10-minute discussion that we had at the start of our meeting.
You
Oh,
could
and
send
Paul is
on
a
that,
wealth of
you're saying you
information.
could send out an
Yeah.
email to 100 people using that particular device?
You could use the
As a
program
mailing?
that I'm using. If you use regular Gmail, I think it's
They
safe to do like 200 at a time.
Yeah, don't do so.
Otherwise, it'll be bad.
Yes,
But if you find that you're gonna go over 200, they have something called Google Workplace, which you could pay. I think it was like very nominal, like $13 a month or something like that, where you could do 1,000. But you still can't just go out and just do 1,000 because it'll imply, hey, do I know all those 1,000 people? They don't want you to use it for that purposes. But I use it because if I only have 50 businesses on there, that's enough for us to get the word out. And every time we add one, to get you in exposure to everybody that's come here in
All right,
person,
now, explain that again
that's way
slower.
more valuable.
Yeah, please.
Explain it slower.
It's way more valuable to email people you know.
Right, I understand that, but what I'm talking about is the simple.
$8 one?
Oh, if you just use Gmail by itself, if you keep it to 200 at a time, and I just do it like 1 or 2 different times, it shows me 400 that I could send. But the program says 400. But Gmail or Google doesn't want me to do 400 because it'll mark me as a spammer.
Right.
And
Cause trouble.
if you also clicked on this is spam and you had to move things back in your Google account, sometimes my Gmail is messed up, so some of your email ends up in spam and I move it over and back. That can be complicated too.
I'll give you my 10 seconds.
Yeah, please,
Now,
thank you
because
for
it
getting
kind
on
of
track.
piggybacks on this, thanks to Paul introducing me to Alignable, I've met and had one-on-ones with a lot of people from Alignable. I'm making a lot more connections than with any other platform. And last week, somebody I met as a result of his starting me out on Alignable became a customer of Yasana. So thank you for all that you do.
So that's a great 10 seconds too.
I was gonna ask you a question real quick. Could you do, as one of the 10-minute things that you do, could you do something on the Google Sheets thing?
Sure.
Maybe we
actually,
could go into the
Yeah.
theater so that we could see it on.
Sure, that's
Yeah,
a good
I was gonna
idea.
suggest that,
Let's
we
do that.
we add to our meeting, a marketing tip or a business advisement or something like that.
Yeah, on
That
a,
would
on a
benefit
Zoom
all of
call
us.
yesterday, I was talking about, helping people to keep organized, and what I do with Excel, and I had actually 2 people that were interested in, and asked me to, send them, like a template of the, sheet that I made up, so.
If anybody's rushed to go somewhere, I know we're past 9 o'clock. I know it's well after your morning day started, but if nobody's getting up, so
2 minutes.
if I could hear a couple 10-second feedback, what you thought of the meeting, what you learned, Patrick?
Yeah, I
10
thought
seconds?
the meeting was great, and I liked the one-on-ones with everyone, and that part of the meeting is very important, and
Yes.
it gets all of us to really know one another a little bit more.
Mhm.
And it's all about, this whole area around referrals and so on and so forth is all based on trust as well.
Mhm.
And the better we know individuals, the more we can trust them, and the more often we can.
Could you get the trust just from the educational nuggets, or it takes a little bit more?
Takes a little more.
Takes a lot more.
Takes a little
Yeah.
bit more.
And you
Good.
have to learn to make that message super, I mean, if you think like if you're getting on the elevator here and you have 2 floors, what are you gonna say to bring them in? Do you know what I mean? To have them ask you for your information.
Absolutely.
That's why it's gotta be rehearsed.
Thank
It's
you
gotta
very
be
much.
rehearsed, you gotta be ready.
Couple more 10-second, Marty. Give us 15 seconds.
I think the key element is to get to know everyone here, because we represent everyone else here. And the important thing is to remember, I represent Sherry
Mhm.
when I go see a client. I represent Paul when I see a client. I have to remember what everyone does here, so that when I'm with someone and they mention something to me that they need this or this or that, it's important for me to know not only that, it's important for me to know the personality of the individual
Mhm.
that I'm referring to. This 10-second or 12 or 1 minute is not enough for me to refer. I want to know that where he was, where Mike was, and everything else in the background. I want to know the personality of who I am personally referring. So in reality, I'm there for a partner.
Your reputation's on the line when you make.
You remind me of the book, His Needs, Her Needs. We all have needs. Okay, let's go to Martha. Give us 10 seconds about the thing. Or not about the thing.
No, I love that. This modality that you introduced today is great. Maybe I'm far away, very difficult to do the one-on-one. Great opportunity. You are here already. Use a great time.